Hello there. Before we get started on today's episode, I'd like to ask a short favor. If you're interested in either of the two books that I have written and am about to release, head on over to my website at theanxioustruth.com/books. There you can learn about both books, one of which is free, and you can get on my mailing list to be notified when each book is released and how you can get it. I would really appreciate that. Okay, let's get rolling. Hey, what's up, guys? Drew here, thatanxietyguy.com, back for another Saturday morning with Billy Cross. What's up, Bill?
Yes, it's all good. It's all good.
All good.
Saturday afternoon here.
Yeah.
I'm going for the Clark Kent look.
You do have the Clark Kent. Here's the thing about Clark Kent. Like, if you take your glasses off, I would still know who you are. I don't know. How did he get it? Oh, wow. Maybe
the point is, I don't know who you are now because I can't see.
Yeah, I can relate. I can totally relate. How does anybody's eyes work? I don't get
it. Mine used to be really good, apparently, but not anymore.
Mine were never good. I like bad genetic draw there. What are we drinking this morning? Are you back to the chamomile and honey?
We're on the chamomile and honey tea. But look at this. dual wielding.
Oh.
Vape pens. So I invested. Yeah, we can double the cloud strength.
Do you know that I just found out? I found a lot about vaping this past week. Who knew? Like, I was unaware that there's more nicotine than there is in a cigarette when you vape.
It depends what strength e-liquid you have. That's what we're talking about this week.
Welcome to the vaping show.
So I started on the 12 milligram stuff, but now I've lowered it to the 6 milligram. So you can get like 3 milligram, and then you can get no nicotine.
What's the point of that?
But the point is, like, it doesn't contain the tar and all the other chemicals that are in it.
So you just get the nicotine without all the other nasty carcinogens, theoretically. Exactly.
And it's cheaper.
Let's just see if we could do 10 minutes on vaping.
Okay, yeah. You want me to throw some shapes up here?
Sure. Let's say no, this is the time where we'll do vaping tricks.
Vape tricks. I watched a video on vape tricks the other day. Nice. How sad is that? Vape Nation. Like, that's the most popular video on YouTube for vaping. H3H3, Vape Nation. He's basically taking the mick out of vaping of it. But it's funny.
All right. There's a channel for everything, dude.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I invested. It's like a 10-year anniversary pen from the company that I get my pens from.
Yeah.
But it's the same one that I had before. It's just, like, fresh, new battery.
Yeah. Makes it
I
seem
deserve
better.
It. New year.
You do. You work hard. New year, new you, new vaping pen.
That's it.
It's like when you put a new monitor on your computer and everything is faster. Like
I need a new monitor because when I split from my ex, I put my computer in the boot of the car, in the trunk, for like 2-3 weeks, and then when I finally got around to getting it out of the trunk, it was scratched to hell. Like there's lines on my monitor up in the top corner, and it's not when I'm like trying to design stuff and I can see lines everywhere. It's
not good.
Not great.
It's actually not scratched. That's me. I have lines.
Is that what it is?
Yes, that's what it is.
You need Botox.
I do. Yeah. All right. Very good. So,
welcome.
Yeah. So, welcome, everybody. That's good. We've said absolutely nothing yet. So we have a bunch of questions today. I see.
We do.
From our little Facebook discussion group. If you're not in the group, we'll put a link. Join the group.
So I went to bed at about 1 a.m. this morning. Yeah. And I thought to myself, like, I should post on there now so the US people, because obviously when I post at like 10 a.m. my time, you guys are
sleeping
fast asleep. So I should have posted last night, but I was like turned the other way in bed and my phone was behind, and I just thought
it can't be that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
They can wait.
What's my excuse? We made our plans yesterday, and I thought the same thing. Like, I should post now.
Yeah.
No. Did I? No, I didn't either. And I was upright. So what does that tell you? Like, I didn't even have to make an effort. My phone was probably in my hand, but I was just
probably
so effing lazy. I'll post later.
We'll do it next week.
We'll do it next week. Post next week. So we have a shit ton of questions, good questions we can answer. And then we had our good friend Eddie DT last week suggested we talk about stress. So I think we should talk about that. So right? So I'm up for that. Eddie, I think last week, Eddie had asked about like what happens when you're really stressed at work and then you bring it home and like how it affects, like your home life, or the other way. If you're like super stressed at home, how would it affect your work? Those are good questions. But I think sometimes we get confused, I think, between what is just stress and what is anxiety, and what is like regular anxiety because of just life shit, and what is when does it go into anxiety disorder? And like, I think people in our situation tend to try, like they have a goal of like, let me try and get rid of all of this. I need to always be happy and always be like calm and never feel upset. And that's not realistic in any way.
The thing for me, I stress at home and I work at home. So
no matter what, stress. Yeah.
Home.
That's a thing. Like, especially a lot of people in this situation that wind up trying to find a way to work from home for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then you never get away from it. Like,
it's one, like I've seen that question so many times. Like, what do people do to work from home? And like me and you have discussed this before. Like, yeah, it might be a good thing because you can avoid life, getting out there and avoid people and that, but it's not a good thing. Like, if there's any way around it, take the other route. Like, get out there. I used to work full time and that. I mean, I do what I do now, and I probably wouldn't go back.
Right.
But that's just because like I'm experienced in what I do now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I could go back and make the choice, I know that working in a busier place, or even if there's just 2-3 people, whatever it is, it would have been more beneficial, like anxiety wise.
Yes. Yeah, that's that thing where the old like, I want to find a way to work at home because I can't leave the house. Well, you really should be working on leaving the house as opposed to trying to find a way to accommodate that and work from home. But the other thing about working from home, because I could do, like, my business could be entirely virtual. I could run my business from anywhere in the world. And for a while we were virtual. So like my primary operation, that was way past the anxiety or phobia stuff. It was just a business decision. Like, we'll just be virtual. And we would meet at like, here in the US, we have like Panera Bread or Starbucks. We would meet in those kind of places now and then when we had to. And that was okay. But working from home could be really isolating too. It's a little bit tough. And then, then you never get away from your work also. I guess it depends because, well, you own the business, I own the business. So work is there 24/7. That could be stressful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You can ring at any time. People freaking ringing me and say, I'm coming around your house now. And like, if I'm freaking out already, then there's, I can't really get out of it. I can't say no. Like, hold on, I'm freaking out.
Yeah. Please
give me half hour. It's just like you deal with it. But I suppose in the past, I've turned work away because I've been feeling bad. Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
When I was in my worst times, I totally did that. That was one of the things I think that really spurred me on. Like, this is crazy. I'm giving up business opportunities here. Like, people wanted to give us money and I would like work around it. It's like, I don't want to go there. Literally go there.
Yeah. If I had business meetings where I'd have to go to their place, then I'd be thinking of an exit plan. Like, I'll pretend my phone's ringing or something like that. It's just crazy.
Case.
All these preparations. It's like, no.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I think so. We were talking about stress. Then stress at work, stress at home. I mean, that's a whole topic. We could just have a whole podcast based on stress management.
Yeah.
But like, life is stressful, man.
I was going to say, like, you always get through these things. That's the point that I make. Like, fuck me, nobody was more stressed out than I was last year.
Yeah.
Like, no.
You were thrust instantly into like a high stress situation.
Yeah, exactly. And you just, I don't know. For me personally, like, I deal with those stressful situations better than I deal with nipping to the corner shop. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Just something takes over, whether it's like you have to do something about it, or I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is that's that point. Like, what's the difference between just life stress and the whole anxiety and fear thing? Or people will ask the question like, what do you do with people in your life that trigger your anxiety or make your anxiety worse? And I think that's so. Stress, people, work, any situations. Like, there's a difference. You can't say it makes your anxiety worse. It does, but that means you still have to work on your anxiety stuff. Like, what happens is life is stressful. People add stress. Your job adds stress. Your dog tears up the sofa. That adds stress. but stress doesn't have to equal fear and like trigger it into panic and like
exactly.
Yeah. And I think the way that happens is most people like whatever, if you're at work and your boss is pissing you off because, you know, he or she is just an ass, you might get stressed, but other people get stressed all the time. You might get angry at your boss, but it should not lead to focusing inward now and worrying about how you're feeling and if you're dizzy. Right. Yeah. So I think what winds up happening is we had a big lag, huge lag. It's okay. We may have to do a little editing here because you're frozen.
Oh, am I? Even now?
Yeah. Oh, now you're back now. Yeah, you're back now.
Back in the room. It's because I've got 3 12-year-olds upstairs on freaking Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, all similar, running 30,000 devices and kids.
Yeah, I've been there. Where like the Wi-Fi router is just red hot, just glowing. But yeah, I think what I was saying is, you know, you get into that stressful situation and like stress is something that happens to you from the outside in, which is normal. So you'd be stressed about like what happened with your ex or like maybe something at work or a money situation. And then most people get stressed and they focused on that external thing. Like I'm angry at my boss, or I need to change this job, or I need to like fix this money problem, like, you know, whatever. But people in our situation, some external stressor happens and then boom, you turn inward. Like, well, how did that happen? How did like your boss being an ass turn into like how you turn into like jelly legs for you?
Yeah. I think that's what stress does for me. It makes it like an external thing. I don't start thinking about myself. I start thinking about the problem. Yeah. Like how to solve it.
And that's smart. So it gets you out of your own head. You're not focused inward. You're not worried about how you feel or what you're thinking. And miraculously, it's okay. So
it's weird because when there used to be problems at home, like if we were going through an argument or something like that, I would not be focusing on myself at all. Like that's when I'd be good. Yeah. So like that's what I need. I need an argumentative. So Tina, if you're watching,
you need to start an argument at least once a day.
Yeah. I need more shit, man.
I think just give Tina just shovel more shit his way. Throw him some shade is what we need.
That's it.
We need hostility.
I'm in the perfect line of business as well because web designer clients are not the best.
I understand. I can relate. I get it.
They're not going to watch this. They're
never going to. No American accounting firm is going to watch this. We're aware.
No, I hope not.
That was stressful. We did that one together. Remember? That was stressful.
Yeah, I've done some big jobs. I did a job for a big company over here called Yodel, like a big delivery network, and that was super stressful. But I felt great. I felt good, like physically, like anxiety-wise, but I was super stressed. But I could tell the difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, so here's advice. So to answer, like follow up on Eddie's question, I think here's advice. No, I think we came to something where we could maybe offer actually actionable shit. So like when stress happens, whether it's work stress or home stress or whatever, like focus on the thing that is stressing you, like the external influence, whatever it happens to be. And that's where most people focus on their stress. And that's what keeps stress from becoming anxiety and fear. Like internalizing it and immediately turning inbound and saying, well, I had an argument with my wife, so now I'm going to panic and like I'm worried about my legs and being dizzy and passing out and having a heart attack. Like worry about what she said or like have that argument or talk it out or like solve the problem is probably the answer. Yeah. But otherwise, how do you deal with just not bringing home work stress or bringing home stress into work? Stress management stuff. We get Susan in on the call. She'll just talk about meditation.
Yeah. I don't know. Just know when to switch off, I guess, isn't it? You are in control of that. You are in control of it. Just don't take it home. Like if it's stressing you out, draw the line. Do something else. Distract yourself from it. Focus on the things that make you feel happy, man.
Yeah. And you could, I've heard so many different tips and tricks over the years, like stress management, like schedule time to think about it, schedule worry time, like, and then when you're done with that, all right, here's my 30 minutes to worry. That's over. I'm going to do something else now. That's a good tip, I guess.
Yeah.
But so much of what we talk about, like that thing where like, well, when the anxiety is screaming at you and you just need to put your focus where you want it to be, like these tools for me, what I could say my own personal experience, the tools and the skills that I built getting over like panic disorder or phobia, like have served me well in terms of just being stress management tools. Because I can say, well, now I'm going to think about this, and I can think about that, and now I'm not going to think about this, and I can move my focus somewhere else. So just, I don't know, like
same principles,
right? Just not in like emergency or crisis mode. Use the same tools and techniques. Yeah, knowing where to put your focus and where it's most useful at any given time, I guess.
Easy.
Keeps you from going home and kicking the dog, I guess, or going to work and yelling at your boss.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. Let's have a drink.
Let's have a drink. Let's just.
I'm on the water. I'm on the water now.
I have a giant bottle of water. It's rude to just swing. Yeah. Just do it. It's a real man's bottle of water.
What's mine then? English pussy, man.
No, get at it. No, that's not what I was commenting on.
James Bond.
The actual comical size of this water. I was out and around yesterday, and I had no water in the car, and I was so thirsty. So I bought this like 72-gallon bottle of water just because I was super thirsty. It was like $1. So I'll go buy that.
Thought you were mocking the size of my water.
Hell no. Would I do that? I would never do that to my friend. Oh,
dear.
Not the size of your water bottle. Everybody knows. Just taking a left turn fast.
Yeah, quick, reel it in.
Back up, reel it in. Yeah, so there you go. That's our 7 minutes on stress. Do we say anything useful?
I think we did more time on vaping than that, didn't we?
Possible that we did. Should we go into questions from the group?
There's a few.
There's a lot of
them, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you posted and everybody's diving in here. So let's see here. You want to just go through them?
From the top, man.
From the top, Michelle Harris. Health anxiety is taking over my life. Well, it's not really a question, but okay. Michelle, that's a
statement.
Yeah. That's all right.
She's not alone.
Man. She's not alone.
There's a few. I've seen a few.
People.
A few comments in the group. I know Andrea posted something. Andrea is a friend of mine. She joined the group like last week or so. She's having like stomach issues and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is just causing health anxiety, and it happens.
I wish I had more experience. I don't have that experience, so it's so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I do. And I say, like, I'm almost over it, I guess. But I've had a dodgy stomach for like 3 days now. But it's not like the same as it used to be. I'd be thinking, oh shit, something's wrong. I'd be asking my ex, like, do I look all right? Or, because that was the thing I used to do.
Yeah.
This is stupid. I used to, because my son is pale, like Josh. He's pale for some reason. He always has been. So I used to say to him, let's do the pale test. So I'd make him stand next to me. We'd look in the mirror, and I'd be like, right, I'm not as pale as you. I'm good.
So
I'm good.
So
to go.
good. Right. Exactly.
As long as he's whiter than me. Jeez.
This is how our brain works. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But now I've got nobody to do that, to ask those questions. Like Josh ain't here, and my daughter's freaking browner than me, so that ain't gonna work.
Don't stand next to her.
No, jeez. So, like, for me, I just don't research stuff anymore. Like, I just try not to think about it. Like, my stomach's dodgy. Okay, maybe I ate something that's upset my stomach, or I don't know. It could be anything. Could be anything. And if I don't know, that's my advice. Could be.
Yeah. Anything. It could be anything. It's so difficult though, because people are gripped with this stuff. I know, like Stephanie actually in the group, she actually started like a no Google or a health anxiety group. And Steph, I guess if I can link it. That's fine. So a bunch of people have kind of started discussing health anxiety in their own group, which is great. And that seems to be the number one thing. Like the compulsion, health anxiety appears to be a compulsion in a lot of ways. I want to Google my symptoms. I want to learn. I want to ask. I want to see. I want to compare. I want to check. I know some people who are just compelled. I want to check my heart rate. I want to check my blood pressure. They can't not do it. It's yeah. So I think health anxiety I'm almost beginning to think is its own thing.
Yeah, like, it is. I agree, man. I agree.
Yeah, like it's its own thing.
The only way that I've sort of managed to wean myself off the checking in that is to just notice when I was doing it and just stopping doing it. Like, I don't Google anything anymore. Like a stupid thing. Like, my dad's got a blood pressure monitor. Like Like I used to borrow it for like a month at a time or something, and I'd be constantly checking it, and I'd be great. But if I took it and it was low or high, it'd freak me out. Like, but before I took my freaking blood pressure, I was absolutely fine. So what's the point in doing that?
That's a really good. There's one particular person. I mean, she's very open about it, but I'm not going to say her name, and she'll watch this, I'm sure. Like the blood pressure thing. So, what was going through your head? So you'd borrow her. Like, I have a blood pressure cuff in my house.
Yeah.
I just never ever use it. Like, were you worried that your blood pressure was high, and that's why you would check it?
No, it just became a habit. Just like I'd check if I had a symptom or something.
Yeah.
I'd check my blood pressure. That'd be the go-to thing.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be bothering me that much. But I'd check my blood pressure, and if it was off, even though I don't really know what the fuck it's supposed to be, but I just know like, oh, that looks a bit dodgy, or it's different to what it was last time. There must be something wrong. But no, I felt exactly the same before I took it. Now I'm freaking out because I think something's wrong.
It's tough.
It's tough.
That compulsion to check and Google, right? I think that's easy for it's easy for me to say. Just don't. And I think I had a conversation the other day with somebody who's struggling with that, and like people, I think they look for like, but how do I not check? But how do I not check? You just don't check.
Yeah.
So I've never had an addiction problem either, but I've heard people describe that addiction thing, like you're addicted to something, whether it's alcohol or some sort of substance. Every time you have that urge to reach for it, you must deal with it at that moment and not do it. And then you might have to do it again in 10 seconds, and then again in 10 seconds, and again in 10 seconds. Like, I just don't know any other way around that. You just have to just tackle every urge as it comes.
Yeah, because I have an addictive personality. Netflix, PlayStation. But I used to like. Also, I'd take my temperature, but it'd make no freaking difference if it was up or down. Like, it's just those little things, but they can send you into a spiral. That's the point. Like, you might not feel that bad when you do it, but when you see, like, if you're checking your heart rate all the time and it's up a bit, it's going to make you feel worse. Whereas if you just don't check it, you don't know. In an hour's time, you're going to be alive still. So what was the point?
I know that, the health anxiety thing, I've seen it described. Health anxiety is a lot of OCD involved in that, right? Checking, and intrusive, obsessive thoughts. Somebody posted the other day that they're completely obsessed with fear of cancer. I mean, we're all afraid of getting cancer. That's not a good thing when it happens, right? But
I don't even like saying the word.
Yes, and a lot of people do. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Like people who don't have a health anxiety don't want to say the word. I understand it is a frightening thing, but there's like, I don't want to get that, and I don't want anybody that I know or care about to get that, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But there is absolutely no evidence anywhere in my life that I have that. Nothing says I have that. Yet some people will literally fixate on that. Like, well, what if I get it? But what if I get it? Well, and that's that. Like, well, what if I get hit by a bus, or what if I get hit by lightning, or anything can happen. But right now, so I think health anxiety, like living in the now and being mindful and trying to stay in the present moment, because health anxiety is almost entirely like an irrational prediction of the future. Like, what if this happens? It is entirely a what if. I must find out so I can protect myself against what I think might happen, even though there's no indication that it will, and it never has. I'm just going to keep going. But the OCD, I've seen one of the best things I ever saw about OCD, which is a health anxiety thing. That's the health anxiety thing, is attacking that underlying anxiety that fuels it. So those compulsions are fueled by the anxiety. So it seems to be that people who feel more generally competent and confident, like right now you're feeling much more competent and confident than you were, say, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You are more immune now to those things. So if you felt like, oh, you are literally addicting yourself to Netflix and Homeland, you could probably just stop today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something. It's not a real addiction.
I gave up. Yeah, I gave up smoking. I gave up smoking weed. I gave up drinking. Gave up caffeine. So all these things can be done. I think the thing for me on this, like, I've got a hard line approach on the health anxiety, because like you say that you've never really dealt with it, but like stopping doing those things is what stopped me obsessing about having these things. So that I'm speaking from experience when I say, like, that is why I don't obsess about cancer or freaking heart failure or anything like that. It's because I just don't engage in what my mind is trying to tell me. Like, I've got a dodgy stomach now. That's it. End of story.
That's it. Statement of fact. No
it
interpretation.
It will clear up. If it doesn't, I'll go and see the doctor whenever. Like, I ain't fucking bothered. Whatever.
And you're right, because there's probably like 50,000 people in a 100-mile radius of you that have a dodgy stomach this morning.
Yeah, like, if I went on Facebook now and scrolled down my timeline, I could probably find 10 posts from people that have got something flu or a cold or a dodgy stomach or whatever.
Yeah. So I think that is excellent advice. In the end, it comes down to just each urge as you get it. You need to Google right now? Don't Google. If you feel like you need to Google again in 15 seconds, don't Google. Just break it down into each individual urge and get past it. And then when the next one comes, it comes. But it's a repetition thing, like anything else. Yeah. Repetition. I wanted to check. I didn't check. I was fine. I wanted to check. I didn't check. I was fine. Sooner or later.
Exactly it. Yeah. Right? That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, sooner or later, your brain will understand that you do not need to Google to be okay. Like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I think trying to stay happy for today, and we'll move on to some more questions. But like at the moment, even though you may have a little bit of an upset stomach this morning, or like my nose, like it feels like I'm getting sick again, which I'm pissed off at. But like, what am I going to do? Like, it just is what it is. But I'm upright. I'm breathing. I'm talking to my friend. I'm like, I'm living my life. I'm happy for that part, as opposed to being fixated on like, oh my God, why does my nose feel stuffy, and why, what does this mean? So there you go, health anxiety, and there's probably more questions about that. Hopefully we've helped. So our friend from Romania, Kat, hey Bill, how about drugs of choice while dealing with anxiety? He's asked this several times, Kat. Right, like alcohol, smoking cigarettes take the edge off after a day. Bad anxiety habits mostly. I've said this. I'm brutal on that. Like, don't. Why? I mean, I understand people self-medicate. It's the thing. We're having lag again. There you go. You're back.
Bit of editing to do here.
We're gonna have a little bit of editing. Yeah. We're definitely having some lag from time to time. Let's see.
We're good.
We good? You're all choppy, but that's all right. All right. So, to answer,
we'll live with it.
All right, that's fine. So to answer, Kat, that's an ASMR sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you should start an ASMR vaping channel.
You are not the first person that said that.
Read the ASMR sound? I don't know why. Like, we had a big discussion about ASMR a while ago, and for some reason that was like, hey, that would be a sound. So drugs of choice, like self-medicating drugs of choice.
I prefer heroin. I prefer heroin. It's
crystal meth.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good, but
my friend Heisenberg.
Just don't get it from Dodgy Frank off the corner, you know.
No, you got to.
Was that a woman?
I just walked past, right?
I think it was
Dodgy Francis.
Yeah.
I think this question has come up before, especially if there's medication involved. Like, you do not want to mix alcohol and your benzos and I don't know, drugs of choice. I don't know how to answer that. Those are safe. You're self-medicating. They're safety behaviors. They're safety rituals. I have to smoke a cigarette to calm down. None of those things are helping. None.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So if you feel like
but that's not to say. Like, because I stopped drinking and I stopped smoking, but it didn't make any difference to my anxiety at all.
Right.
Who's outside?
I don't know. There might be some drug deals going down in the mean streets of
Filthy Frank. So
yeah,
it didn't make it, like, because I think a lot of people think that, like, I'll give up caffeine, it's going to cure my anxiety, or I'll give up smoking, it's going to cure my anxiety. No, it's just better for you. Like, why not? Like,
right.
Be healthy. Don't take drugs. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's just good advice, whether you're anxious or not, to not drink too much and not do those things and not smoke. But I think recognizing that in an anxiety context, if you need to go home and drink to calm down, you're self-medicating. It's an avoidance and escape behavior, and it's actually making things worse for you. And the same thing with cigarettes. If you feel like every time you feel like you get anxious, you have to have a cigarette. Well, first of all, you're inhaling all that crap, and that's not good for you. And second of all, again, it's an avoidance or safety behavior. Well, yeah,
get on the vape.
Yes, get on the vape if you have to. At least it's less tar and stuff.
I need to get an affiliate like a vape affiliate, so I can
do.
use the code.
Yep, use the code. Vape UK is the code today.
Yes.
But I think in the end, the answer to that is like drugs. You already know, Kat. You already know what it is. You're asking already. Like you know that you're self-medicating. You know these are bad habits. Although, look, smoking. I understand. I've never smoked, but it is so. I know so many people who cannot. So anxious or not, it's just so addictive. So I get it. But just try not to engage in those safety behaviors. I think they don't help. They're prolonging things.
Those cravings that you have for the cigarettes will be the same cravings you have to reach for the blood pressure monitor or the thermometer. It's the same principle again. Just
that's true.
No,
it satisfies. Well, there's a physical dependence on the nicotine to a certain extent.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I know it's not a hard. Nobody winds up.
I mean, I didn't. Yeah, like people talk about it a lot. Yeah, no, I didn't do any of that. I just, I don't know, because I was off nicotine for a week, like when it first started. I didn't vape or anything. I just went cold turkey on it. And it's the same with the weed. No,
headaches or anything like that? Yeah.
No. Same with the weed. Like I was smoking weed for 10 years every day for breakfast.
Wow.
Lunch and dinner. Yeah.
The weed diet.
That was just weed. Complete, like I just stopped. Cold turkey, never touched it again. Nothing.
Totally fine.
Yeah. So it can be. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. No issues with it. Like I didn't really think about it and that. But I think for me, it was like a psychological reason for quitting. Like I had to quit because it was making me feel worse. So that made it easier, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Bad habits. You got to try and break them. It is what it is. And some could be really difficult. I get it because of physical dependency, but the smoking thing is more of a habit. I think.
That's what I learned from it. I think so.
Yeah. So let's talk about Muhammad. Please advise on disturbing existential thoughts during recovery. And Marines asked the same question.
Okay.
I went through that for sure. Like when I was scrambled eggs.
Existential meaning, like what is the meaning of life and what am I doing here?
What is the point of all this? What am I doing here? Well, and I don't even want to say some of the things because I know that people don't even want to hear them. So there's one particular person I know will listen that don't say, like there was one phrase, what's the point? And it became a joke. Like, don't say that. Now I'm going to have to go think about have an existential crisis for 23 minutes,
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But I think that's so normal. Like I went through a lot of that. I don't know if you ever experienced it. Yeah.
Not really. I don't know. I don't know.
I used to, well, I put it to you this way. I used to worry about it all the time. Like there were times when I was at my worst, I would have a lot of those existential crisis type fears that would send me into a panic sometimes. What's the point? What am I? Why am I here? Who am I? Blah, 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 blah. I would we're all just that sort of stuff. But what happened was as everything else got better, those started to go away. So I can still ponder those questions because they're questions that normal people.
I think, that's the different. Like I've had those thoughts before, but I don't class those. It's not a crisis. It's just a question in my head.
Yeah. And we all confront those questions. Human beings, like, who am I? Why am I here? What's the point? What's this all about? It just doesn't have to turn into fear and panic and anxiety.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it doesn't worry me. If I think that, it doesn't worry me. I just a question.
Yeah, and what's so strange is at my worst, I would think, those existential things, they're unavoidable. Like we all face an unavoidable thing in our life, and we all know what it is. But I think now that would send me into just a complete tailspin. Just that thought, and knowing there's nothing I could do about this. There's nothing I could do about it. Now it's there's nothing I could do about it. But all right, we all 7 billion of us know this, and we're not all crippled by it.
I think I know the reason. It's because I'm going back to weed here, but those are the kind of conversations you used to have smoking weed. So they were the fun. That was let's go on a freaking journey, a mind fuck. Let's discuss this shit. So maybe that's why it doesn't bother me now, because I spent 10 years just going off on those, and it weren't a crisis. It was let's have a freaking laugh about it.
It was fun. Yeah, right.
So smoke weed. That's the answer.
There you go. So let's contradict what we just said and just start smoking copious amounts of weed for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I'm so sorry.
But I think, guys, to answer the question about disturbing existential thoughts, like almost every thought when you're in that real sensitized, like, raw state and you're panicking all the time, you're working on it, just understand that if that thought disturbs you, it's okay. Don't judge that. Many thoughts will disturb you. Try and move on the best you can. You don't have to think about those things right now. And as things get better, those thoughts can come and not be disturbing. They could just be the same questions we all ask from time to time about life, and it'll be okay. It'll be okay. So, let's talk, Mark.
You recovered
Mark.
that.
I did, yeah. I'd like you to discuss safety behaviors, how they affect us, good or bad. Never good, by the way. I'll answer that already. If you have health anxiety around your heart and are overweight and struggling to exercise, says that's Mark. Safety behaviors, how they affect us, good or bad. Always bad. Always bad.
Always bad in the long run.
In the long run. And they're not. The safety behaviors aren't horrible things. Carrying around a bottle. I bought a giant, ridiculous gallon of water to drink yesterday because I was thirsty and I didn't have water with me.
Yeah, because you needed a drink.
Right. I was just thirsty. I usually have water with me now because I get thirsty. So, but it used to be that I needed that water to feel like, oh God, if I don't have water, I'm screwed. That was a panic safety thing.
Yeah, because we sort of touched on it last week when I went for the walk and I got to the car park and realized I'd forgot my water.
Yeah.
So if that was to cause you a problem, then that is a safety behavior. Whereas, I thought to myself, oh, I forgot my water, but it didn't make any difference. That's fine. I wanted water because I might need a drink. That's the only reason. But we could go on forever listing safety behaviors, taking your phone, checking stuff, and gum, mints. I always take mints with me wherever I go. Still.
Yeah, me too. No, me too. Because I always have them in the car, but they don't serve a purpose other than I just want to have peppermint breath because I just don't. Yeah. I'm always nervous about that. It's never a problem, but I'm just trying to be polite. So I always have mints with me. But so most safety behaviors, when I say they're bad, I don't mean they're horrible behaviors. They're not. And if you just did them outside of the anxiety context, no one would ever think of it. You wouldn't even give them a second thought. I like water, and I usually have mints in my car. Okay, so what? Some people like to paint or color because they like to. Other people, have to run to the coloring book when they panic because put it to you this way. Safety behavior is if you have behaviors or rituals that you go to the minute you start to feel badly because you think they will let you back out of that bad feeling, then that's a safety behavior. And we talk all the time about just allowing the bad feelings to come. And the only way to truly get through this is to go through those bad feelings without doing a damn thing. It's the only way to actually on the long term be inoculated against that fear. Here I am gonna panic. Oh well, it'll be over in 10 minutes. It's fine. So the safety behaviors I think they're never good. You have to try to know what they are and then extinguish them as best you can one by one, which means facing your shit. The worst fear. It means facing your fear.
So here's a question, because I often think about this, when you're starting out with your exposure stuff, what's your thoughts on taking your water and having some safety? Would you rather people get out with a few safeties than not get out at all?
Yes, that's a super good question. And I think the answer is sure. I think to me, it's the debate that people have about using medication. What if I use, tranquilizers so I could start doing my exposure? I think that bottle of water or mints or the rubber band on your wrist, or whatever it is you use, is certainly a better option than popping a Xanax or a Valium or there's something that ends in Zam, Alprazolam, or whatever you got. Because it won't take your symptoms away, whereas the meds will take your symptoms away. And then what are you exposed to? You need to feel the symptoms. But
if it's a choice of sitting on your sofa or going out with a bottle of water, go out with the
bottle of water. That's exactly right. And I think what will happen is you'll discover, what I would say is bring the water, bring the mints, bring the rubber band, bring your phone, do all of those things. But you have to work on, at first you're going to look at it as I must bring my phone because if I get in trouble, I can call for help. And you might succumb and call for help.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but you have to understand, like, well, I called for help and I didn't really need to call for help. So the object of the game is bring those things with you, and at first you'll see them as safety or escape hatches, but you have to bring them with you when you're walking out the door and say, okay, I really don't need these. I'll bring them anyway, but just remind yourself these are not escape hatches because I don't need one. I don't need to be saved. But I'll bring these for now. And then over time, I think most of us will describe that like those fell off. Like, oh, I don't need my water, I don't need my meds, I don't need my pills.
You perhaps notice that you're not actually using the stuff. Like you'll go for a walk and not take a drink, and then you'll get to the point where you forget to take it, and that might trigger a bit of anxiety, but you'll still get through it.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like you don't need to take anything, you want to take something.
Correct. So I think by all means that's fine. Bring all that stuff with you, or like it's okay. Better to start with those things than to never start. I think I'm good. And they'll naturally start to fall off over time, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty normal. Mark also asked about what if you have health anxiety around your heart and are overweight and struggling to exercise. I mean, that's sort of its own thing.
I think there's a few questions on exercise.
Oh, is there? Yeah.
Back to that.
Okay, that's fine. So we can come back to the exercise thing. Right. So what about Ben, one of the anxious men, which is so funny when you mentioned Bill and Ben. I did not understand the reference. Educate me. Old UK TV. Seem to get stressed very easily with my small children, especially at bedtime. I'm carrying that stress into the next day. How can I become more relaxed with my kids without letting them get away with things? It's like a parenting question. Oh, then there are 7 like. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, it stirred up some interest, that one.
I see that. I lose my temper so quickly. It's not good. It makes me feel worse. Jolene, I try to use my child in my parenting as a form of meditation. Jolene, you rock. That's an excellent thing. Taking my time and thinking, very good. Very good. I'll say something like, tomorrow I'll be more present, giving yourself a hard time. Jolene answered the question. Jolene,
I see.
That was really, really, really good. Your answer is absolutely excellent. I think she totally nailed it. And I would say I can't add to Jolene's thing. She's absolutely right. Number one, understand that you are in a sensitized state, that you're on a hair trigger, that you're working on things, but so many things trigger panic. You have a very low tolerance for stress. You have a very low tolerance sometimes for any sort of stimulus at all. And certainly kids, especially little kids, can be a huge stimulus. So just understand, like, expect that to happen. Don't judge it badly. It's like, this is just the way it is for now. And as I work on my stuff, I will get better at this again. And I think just keep your focus. It's that stress thing that we were talking about in the beginning. So when your kids are acting up and they're little and they're causing a ruckus and you're trying to get them to bed and get pajamas on and do all that stuff and you're just freaking out, keep your focus on them. Like, be present with them. You know, what can I do to help Sally, who's named Sally anymore? What can I do to help, whoever, my daughter, get in the bath and get into pajamas? To all the Sallys who are listening, but that's an old name, right?
You're always offending someone, aren't you?
I am. It's good. So focus on them, the problem at hand. What are my kids doing right now? Not what are my kids doing that is making me feel so badly. So look at it as a good practice of like maintaining your focus on the world and what's going on and what you need to engage in, as opposed to like, oh, they're screaming again. Let me turn my focus back to me. And I don't mean that in a mocking way, but we have to acknowledge that so much of this problem is because of me. And I don't mean selfish me, like just it's all about me. Nobody thinks that. But it's how we act. Like, how are these kids making me feel? Well, they're not making you. They're doing their thing. Right. They're doing. How did this somehow become like, really, when you get down to brass tacks? Because I've been there. When I was at my worst, my kids were little. Like, it was difficult. And I remember thinking one night, like, man, what the hell? What am I doing? Like, how did this become, like, my younger daughter. I remember she had a big meltdown one night, huge meltdown. She was like 4, like she was exhausted. It was a super long day. There was too much. That's what kids do. So, and I remember I ran out of the room and I was so like just amped up and I was feeling I was going to panic. And I remember standing, like, stuck my head out the window to just like get a breath of air and had to say to myself, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, she has had a long day. She's only 4. She doesn't have like resiliency. She doesn't have coping skills yet. She's learning how to be a human being. This was her long day that has culminated in this in her being stressed, and she's releasing the stress the way she knows how. My job is to help her channel that, teach her, like comfort her. Like, why is this about me? And I remember slamming the window shut and going back in and talking to her. I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. Why is this suddenly about me? So does that make any sense? Does that resonate at all?
100%. Yeah, of course.
This has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So
it's them that have got the friggin' issue. Help them.
Help them like that. And so look at it as an opportunity to put your focus where it's supposed to be, as opposed to like how I feel. And I'm saying that in a mocking tone because that's the reality. It's like, I was always like, oh, how do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? Well, fuck that. Like, it's not about how I feel. So there you go. That's my answer to that. Want to add anything? Parenting tips.
My daughter just messaged me from upstairs.
Oh, kids. Stress.
Am I done yet? Nope.
Keep the door closed. Stay up there. Stressing me out. She's stressed. Right now. You know what she's doing right now? She's doing a podcast about what do you do when your parents stress you out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Heather. Heather, our friend Heather. I have a question. Why, dear people, I have a question. I have a query. Why are we so scared of medicine, working out, trying new foods, driving, but we're fine with drinking alcohol, smoking, vaping? It's a super good question. It's a super good question. Because why are we so scared of all those things? Because anything that might make you feel different when you are obsessed with how you feel is going to be a problem. That's the short answer to that.
Yeah.
If you are constantly focused on every moment on how you feel, every change in your body, every twitch, every twinge, every pain, every sensation, every tingle, every thought that goes in your head, then anything that you ingest or do that might change that state is going to be scary to you.
Agree.
That's why we're afraid of that. But why are we not scared of alcohol and smoking? Because we use those things to knock down how we feel.
Yeah, we don't associate those things with like they're completely different to a medication. Like I don't know. It's a mad like the question. I've never really thought about it because I'm scared of like I don't take ibuprofen. I don't know why.
Heather said that. I had a bit of a meltdown taking ibuprofen, but I'm vaping over here like I'm Billy. So like, because honestly, you're afraid of anything that you think might make you feel worse, but you'll run toward the things that you think will make you feel better. It's the
safety. It's the safety thing.
It's a safety thing. You run towards safety and you hide from what you feel is not safe. That has got to be the thumbnail right there.
Should we get one?
There's your
thumb. Carry on.
There's your thumbnail. So that's why I think I can kill 5 milliliter tanks. Oh, wow. Okay. Heather can vape like crazy. No kidding, right?
Slow down on the vaping.
Slow down on the vaping, my friend.
Yeah.
So that's the short answer to that question. We run toward what we think is safety, even though it's wrong.
Yeah,
and we run away from the things we feel are unsafe, even though that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's all about being obsessed with how you feel. All right, next, Christina in Sydney, in Australia. I'd like to know, on average, that's my Aussie accent, by the way, how long relative success takes. Cool, mate. Should be right. It would also be great to have an idea when most people consider themselves recovered. So basically, how long? Like,
sorry, I weren't listening.
So Christina asked, basically,
everything was just Australian
about
in
the
my
Australian
head.
accent. You're just coming up with all the Aussie sayings.
Fucking right.
She'll be right.
Cool.
Damn, never mind.
From the top.
She's basically asking how long success takes, relatively speaking. Like, it would be great to have an idea when most people consider themselves recovered. What defines recovered? It's different for everybody, blah, blah, blah. And can someone be too far gone? No, the answer is no. You cannot be too far
gone.
Never. You can never be too far gone.
Mate. Fucking
never.
Right.
So, no, you can't be too far gone, Christina. Like, there's no such thing. That's the understanding that an anxiety disorder is a neurosis, like in that traditional, like, psychological sense, whereas it's not a psychosis. Like, you're not mentally ill, broken with reality problems. Like, these are just bad cognitive habits. Nobody's too far gone. Nobody. So, and when did you think when did I think I was recovered? For me, I would say I was living like 75% of like a normal life within 6 months. less maybe. Then the other 25%, like now I would say, yeah, I live 100% normal life. Like I do whatever I want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when did I consider myself fully recovered? When I no longer made decisions based on, there was never an and never a, what if how am I going to feel when I do that? Is this going to be too hard? When I stopped questioning if I could do things, that's when I knew I was recovered.
Yeah.
Right. So like you don't question certain things anymore that you just do. Right.
It's true. I was going to talk about like small victories because I think it's sort of related to Gemma's comment that's on there. But it's like when you do stuff and like because wait, I don't know where I'm going with this.
That's
like
okay.
going to the shop at first for me was a major thing, and then like it escalated to walking around the castle grounds, like being away from the car, going to Birmingham, like to the blues shop, stuff like that. And then you forget about the little things that you're still in achieving, and you like when you start to question whether you're still moving forward, but then you've just like I had my haircut Friday, and like that hasn't registered in my head as a little victory anymore because the victories have become bigger. So you start to forget that those little things too are still victories. Like I couldn't fucking do that 6 months ago. So you need to like remember that just because you're like you can do the stuff that's smaller now that's easy. That wasn't easy. That wasn't easy at one point. So it's still a victory. I think that's something that people lose sight of. It's like the victories have to become bigger and more elaborate when they don't really.
No. And I think also the concept of like, well, I have to get to this place called recovered. Like recovered isn't a, this is going to sound so cliche. Recovered isn't like an actual destination. Like, oh, I made it to this place called recovered. Like sooner or later you'll say like, oh, I'm 100%. Like I would tell anybody, yes, I'm 100% recovered. But like every day you're more recovered than the day before. Like recovery is on a sliding scale, and like it's a matter of degree to a certain extent. So every day you are more recovered than the next day. It's like trying to lose weight or gain weight. Like if you go on a diet and you're doing well and you're exercising every day, you weigh maybe ounces less, but you are thinner that day or you're lighter that day than you were the day before. And so recovery is the same way. You are recovering. You are recovered. So now, like in terms of frame it in terms of those tasks, like in terms of getting your haircut, you're recovered 100%. You just went and did it. You didn't even think about it.
There you go. No, it's horrible. I still wobbled, like sitting in the chair. It was horrible.
Yeah, but you did it.
Yeah, same as it would have been 6 months ago if I'd have gone and done it. Like it was no different. It's just my response to it is different. Like I didn't move. I didn't start freaking and start questioning how am I going to get through this. I just sat there and got through this.
Yeah. So I would think to relate that to what Christina's asking, and Gemma was the next one too, like getting back up after you feel the failure, like you know, like everything is ruined kind of thing. It's not a like even though you felt the same way on Friday getting your haircut as you used to 6 months ago, you are still more recovered in relation to that task than you were.
Yeah,
because you just did it, and you'll do it again. You know. And unfortunately, that's not something you could do every day because you just don't have, your hair doesn't grow that fast. But every time
where I don't need a haircut anymore.
Well, you better get to practice it now than while you still need it. But I was in that same boat. Like I can remember it's so funny that you bring that up. So I was driving yesterday, the day before, whatever, just on a road that I drive on all the time, and that memory came up driving down that road to go get my haircut. Like it was a huge issue. And at the time I used to have to drive down this road to where I would used to get my haircut. And I remember for some reason that popped into my head and I laughed. And I remember just shaking and, you know, do all the thing. Like, I have to get there. Now I'm here and I have to sit here and wait. Like, oh God, how should you wait? How long is it going to take? Now, like, it's not even a thing. I don't even think about it. I just go get my haircut. Yeah. It's crazy. So, so that's recovery. So that's complete. I would say complete recovery. But every day you've got more recovery than you did the day before. So even Christina, even if you're having just a hard time driving down the block, the fact that you get in the car when you couldn't get in the car 2 weeks ago is recovery. So
that's it.
Yeah, you're always recovering. It's fine. How long did it take for me? 6 months to get to like 75% recovery. And then the other stuff took much longer because then I had to hit things that I just didn't need to do. I would have to manufacture like a reason to go 100 miles away, which is a little bit inconvenient. So but that's how that worked out. Hopefully that makes sense. And does that answer Gemma's question too? Like everything is ruined. Everything is certainly not ruined.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's your perception of the moment, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also not ruined. So think about a time when, how's the best way to frame this? So let's say you're starting from square one to a certain extent, like I can't even leave the house, or like this is crazy, but you're forced to. You must go and do some task, and you go and do it, and you rush back home, and you have a panic attack while you're out, and you run home, and you close the door, and all you could think about is that was terrible, that was terrible, I hate that, I hate that, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, and you just go back to hiding. Like now you say, okay, I'm going to go shopping or whatever I need to do. And you go out and maybe you have a panic attack of a really like anxious day, shaky, like maybe it's hard. You engage in your safety behaviors, but you did it. And your thought process in that situation is like, okay, this didn't go the way I want it to because I want to be able to do this. You're not thinking, let me just get home and hide anymore. So that is not failure. It's not, to me. Like if you know, like you did this thing and like, oh God. If you know that you did this thing and it didn't turn out the way you want, you are already ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make any sense?
A little.
Because your mindset is different. Remember, remember a day when you would just like, I just need to get this over with and get back home to so I don't have to do it again. If you're knowing like, well, I want this to be a certain way, I would like to go to the supermarket now and be able to shop without going into a panic. And well, today I panicked. I don't like that. But I'm going to do it again. And I know what I did wrong. You know, I think as long as you know what you did wrong, you're able to confront that, be honest with yourself, and then say, well, I'm going to do this again right away. Try it again. Practice this again. Then it's not a failure. It's only a failure if you deem it a failure and decide, I can't do this, and just don't do it again for 2 months. Then it's a failure. I will call it a failure. You're a busy street today, man. There's a lot going on.
Man, so much activity.
Is some sort of party going on that you weren't invited to? What's up with that?
There's going to be 100,000 people out there called Sally. That's what I know is coming.
It's 100,000 Sallys all converging. Yeah, wow. It might be more common in the UK. Good. They can protest outside your house.
Great.
Not too shabby. So let's move on. Hello, Billy. I have a question. Lou.
Hello.
Hey, Lou. About a week ago, I went with the float with the panic attack. Lasted only 30 seconds. Ever since then, no panic attacks. It's super nice. However, 4 days ago, I have been struggling to sleep at night because of these intense symptoms, sharp pain on my arms and legs, blah, 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 warm, tingling. I'm not even going to go through them. Intense fear that my heart will give up or have stroke. It's hard to sleep. I still get no panic attacks. It's just a fear. This is a long comment. I'm trying to get through it. I feel like with no panics, I'm starting to move forward, but with this intense symptoms and deprivation of sleep, it's taking me step back. Very strange. All right. So Lou is having an issue where she's feeling anxiety symptoms at night. Okay.
Well, we had the morning anxiety last week, didn't we?
Right, we did. And so now Lou is saying that, you know, she figured out the floating thing, and that's good. She hasn't had panic during the day for a while, which is good. You've definitely made a step forward. So now just move that practice to the night. That's the answer. You do the same thing with these sensations and this fear. So you're describing this long list of things about how your arms get warm and tingly and you're afraid of your heart and having a stroke and your heart giving out, but it isn't happening. So now you practice at night.
Yeah, they're probably the same fears that she was having during the day, but managed to get over them. So
yeah,
same principles. But I think sleep. She's saying sleep deprivation, get more sleep. So that's interesting. Because like this week has been the first week back for the kids at school, so I've been trying to get back into some kind of normal sleep pattern. So I've noticed like this week has been a struggle because I'm getting up at like 7 a.m. in the morning. I've been struggling to sleep, so it's been hard, and I've definitely felt different, and I've noticed like I've been feeling way more sensations anxiety-wise than that.
Okay,
but
because of the sleep issue.
Well, I would imagine that's what it is. I mean, it might not be. It might be. I might have a bug. Who knows? But I'm not Googling it.
Right. It doesn't matter. No, that was just smart. So you're right. Lou was saying that, well, this is also interfering with her ability to sleep because it's happening at night. Yeah. But I think so. Just resign yourself to the fact that, like, okay, you're going to have to deal with this now at night. And when you feel those sensations, you go through the drill. The same thing. Relax your body. Slow down, put your brain in neutral, put your focus where you want it to be as opposed to on your thoughts and sensations. Put it on your breath. Just keep doing it again. And you have to learn to float through the sensations and those thoughts, even if they happen at 2 a.m. while you're in bed. And maybe you're not going to sleep. That might happen. But just It is what it is. Like and you'll make progress. So if you keep not reacting to those symptoms when they happen at night, sooner or later, you will not be afraid of them. And when you feel them, 30 seconds later, you won't care and you'll roll over and go to bed. Yep. So you might have to work on that at night for, a week or two. It's okay. And then sleep when you can. So I think the short answer to that is you do the same thing you would do any other time you get those symptoms, and just understand that it might be a little disruptive to sleep right now. Oh, well, don't make more of it than it has to be. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. We got a little lag again.
Don't worry about it.
Who cares about it? We have an expert editor in the house here. Wherever there's lag, just insert like car chase scenes from old movies and stuff. Confuse people. Let's talk about Jasmine says exercise intolerance, how to build up fitness when exercises increases the fatigue so much. Okay, so there's a follow-up that was different, but let's see. So let's talk about Jasmine. So exercise intolerance.
It's a good question, but you've done videos on this before. Like
I actually have done two videos.
Yeah.
2 videos specifically addressing that. And honestly, but Jasmine's talking about fatigue, I think, more than anything else. So
I think, that's that. A lot of people increases the heart rate and it makes you out of breath, brings on those sensations. But I can relate to what she's saying about the feeling after exercise. So I can go on like the elliptical for 10 minutes or whatever, and I'm absolutely fine doing it. But when I stop, that's when I start freaking, like my legs. That's when I'd be conscious of how I feel, and I'd come and sit on the sofa and like just sitting on the sofa afterwards when you feel you got something in your eye.
I got something in my eye. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's all right.
I thought that was a new exercise you'd brought.
No, I actually. I got something in my eye about a minute ago, so sorry. That was probably very obvious.
That's okay.
It's okay.
So yeah, it was just that feeling of just like being worn out after. But then when you've got a reason to feel worn out, like you should feel good about that fatigue, I guess. Yeah. Like that would be you've achieved something.
Well, and I think that's just an understanding of like reality is what it is. So if you've been sedentary and homebound and not getting out and not moving, then any little bit of exercise is going to be fatiguing. That's okay. So you have to, how do you build up fitness when exercise increases the fatigue? You exercise and then you rest because you're tired.
Slowly. Yeah, slowly.
Yeah, and that's how you do it. So, one day you can walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes, and the next day you might do 6, and the next day you might do 7 or whatever. And then over time, you accept that fatigue will be part of that deal. You don't overthink it. You don't panic because of it. You float through it, and you just keep going.
Small increments.
Right, small increments, and it will matter. So like Jasmine, if you just keep doing it, like you might feel badly because it's making you so tired, but that's just because you're out of shape and just you can, it's okay. People wind up at 600 pounds and lose, 400 pounds over the course of 2 years and become fit. It happens. So like you could do it too,
So I've noticed because we was talking about the heavy bag last week. Do you remember?
Yeah, the heavy bag.
It's still in my kitchen, but it's leaning up against the door. Like I can go hit it every now and again. But I've noticed my shoulders are fucked.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, like I'm hitting it too hard or whatever. I feel like I dislocate my shoulder every time I hit the damn thing.
Or
so
you just,
I just haven't. I've never done it.
Right. Those are muscles that you're not normally taxing, and now they are complaining at you. So it's just like anything else. I mean, you're trying to make your body adapt to it's something that it's not used to, and you'll always feel that adaptation. So it's totally normal. Jasmine, what you're feeling is completely normal. Just go slow and small increments and just keep repeating it. And when you're tired, rest. It's normal. It's okay. It's all good. So Clay says, when recovering, is it better to participate? You've talked about this. This is good. In groups like this, or to stay away from discussions. On one hand, you don't want to avoid hearing about anxiety and panic. On the other hand, participating just seems to be a safety behavior for some. It's really good. It's a good question.
What's your take on this?
My take on this is that you have to be super honest with yourself at all times, like brutally honest with yourself at all times. Like, am I here for social reasons, which is people become friends and just enjoy the interaction? Totally cool. Am I here because I have a specific question I'm trying to get answered? Am I here because it's a distraction? So ask yourself why you're participating in not just our group, but any group.
Yeah.
Why are you really doing it? Is this a distraction? Is it just to kill time? Is it social? Is it a safety behavior? Is it, and then you have to just act accordingly. So if you feel like, if you're coming to seek reassurance,
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right. I think a lot of times people will come and like, well, I'm feeling this thing. Let me see if anybody else has done that. And they either just ask, they post and ask, or they just read to try and find out if anybody's ever done it. I think you have to you have to just be honest with yourself and don't use it as avoidance or safety or a shield or reassurance seeking. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
You know,
and honestly, it's a real tough one, man. Because like I can think one thing one day, and then think something else the next. So
yeah. And I think that's pretty normal. I get that. I do get it. Like, and then sometimes,
there's times where something. And you can take that one of two ways, I guess, depending on how you feel at the time. You can either be happy for them and like, yeah, that's spurred me on, or you can think, oh shit, I can't do that, and it makes you feel worse. So every day is a different freaking response to the things that you see on there.
Yeah, I would think sometimes maybe a good strategy is, I know you've done this from time to time, just unplug for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, unplug from whatever groups you're in. Try it for a couple hours. Try it for a day or 2 days,
or just maybe schedule some time in. Like if you wanna do it, half an hour at the end of the day or something, just go on.
Yep.
Read some stuff and help some people or whatever. Or
I think, you know, and this talks to the different types of groups. Like if it's an inspiring place to be, if you feel like, if you get done, sometimes you get done, you think like, well, like you said, that sucked. I didn't like reading about that. But sometimes you get done and feel like, oh, now I feel like going out and taking a walk or doing something myself. If it's a positive experience, then you stay out of it. If it's a negative experience, definitely don't, or try and turn it into a positive.
I think that's where what you said comes into it. Like, be honest with yourself. Why are you checking the group right now? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for some motivation, or are you looking for some sympathy, or you know what I mean?
Right. Are you just checking in on your friends? You know?
Yeah. So it's the same as Googling your symptoms and shit. If you're going to go on the group for a purpose to try, like as a safety thing, then just don't. Just step back and wait.
Yep, I agree. And I think those reasons change over time also.
Yeah, that's the thing.
In the very beginning, you're going to use groups like this as reassurance and safety and avoidance. That's normal. And then over time, you should start to use it to be educated and be motivated and inspired, maybe inspire other people. You see the progression. Somebody comes and asks, reads, and then suddenly a month or two later, they're answering other people. Hey, it's okay. You're going to be okay. I did this too. Like, there's natural progression. Just be aware. I think it's the best thing. Yeah, don't let it become a safety behavior too much. Jared, you spend a lot of time. Jared asks, is it good to remind yourself truthful tips like it's only adrenaline, it's not harmful, don't care, in order to truly not care? So Jared struggles with this question constantly. Am I doing it right? Am I doing this right? Is this right? Is this right? Is this right? Here's the answer to this question, Jared. In all honesty, if you feel like you are further ahead today than you were a month ago or a week ago or 6 months ago, then you're doing it right.
Exactly.
You're doing it right. And if you feel like there are still obstacles that you are having a hard time overcoming, then adjust to be able to now tackle those things. And then you'll be doing that right too. So the pat answer, is it good to remind yourself truthful tips? It's good to remind yourself those things when you're feeling good. Like, go through those exercises when you in the morning, when you're having coffee, whatever it is. Like, okay, let me remind myself, let me go through my checklist here. It's only adrenaline. I'm always okay. It's not harmful. I have to not care. I have to float. Because when you're in the middle of the shit, when the shit hits, you can't, those thoughts don't work.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. So use those thoughts as practice when you're feeling good. And then you get into neutral, I don't care mode when you're feeling bad. And it just takes time.
Agree.
Like, yeah, it just takes time. But if you feel like if you're doing things you weren't able to do, if you're out there, if you're feeling less restricted, then you're doing it right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So Robin, next. We have a lot of comments. There's a lot of comments.
We're on over an hour already.
Oh, we're over an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. So we may have to do like time codes of this one.
Yeah.
Robin, please, Billy, I know this is difficult, but what do you do if you're in complete breakdown of your nervous system? Is it more effective to be taking care of this as an inpatient, or is it? This is a really hard question, Robin, because all right. So how do I answer this question?
Yeah,
I know this is a different. It's a different thing. Like nervous breakdown of the nervous system. I was going to talk to Robin directly. That's fine. This exists on a continuum, right? So what would be a nervous breakdown for one person might not be for another. And so there's no specific definition, like medically, of what a breakdown of your nervous system is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're talking about this as if it's like the ultimate extreme case of this disorder. And in actuality, it's kind of not. It's kind of not. So this is what happens when there's more than just this disorder, right?
Yeah.
Like people with panic disorder and agoraphobia engineer their lives to live safely, so they do not wind up in complete nervous breakdown. That situation comes from this and just a pile of other things on top of it. So Robin wants to know, do you do it in inpatient, outpatient? Inpatient, I will tell you, for anybody that's watching, is the last resort. Like being checked into a psychiatric ward at a hospital or something. For those who have been there, and feel free to chime in, like you will understand that is not where you want to be, because you don't belong there. But if it's an outpatient program where you go every day and you participate in therapy sessions, individual and group, and their exercises, that might be a good thing. Because sometimes people need structure. Like, I must get up, I must get dressed, I must go to this place, I will do these classes, I will do these activities. There's no good answer to that, Robin. Unfortunately, it's an individual thing. And if you feel like you're having a hard time doing it on your own at home, then maybe an outpatient thing is where you want to be. But I know Robin and I have spoken, and like I know that she doesn't want to be in an inpatient where you are literally like admitted and you are staying there. Yeah, that's because it's not where any of us really need to be. So I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that one? It's a tough one.
Not a fucking thing.
Yeah, our friend Robin is in a different place than most of us, and it's not. Yeah, and so it's related, but it's slightly different. Robin, I think all I could say is you have to make the best decision that you think is right for you. There's no definite answer I could give you, and I do not have direct experience with that either.
Yeah.
There's only a few left here, although more seem to be coming in. I know. So Donna, switching the what ifs to a challenge we can feel great about overcoming. It's just like a different way, I guess. So we talked about that, about health anxiety. So Donna's dealing with a serious health anxiety. What if it's compelling her to check blood pressure, check heart rate. It's a compulsion she's trying to overcome. And it's so you could take that as a challenge. Whatever it is, we're going back to the beginning of the video, like the first question.
Don't check.
Whatever it is. Yeah, don't check. Want to check? Don't check. Want to check? Don't check. It's, and maybe you could almost gamify it if it helps, I guess, turn it into a challenge. Like, hey, I didn't, I got through this 17
reward
times.
Yourself.
Yeah, something like that. It's not a bad thing. If you switch it to a challenge, that could be a positive thing. Wow. Okay. There's just a couple more, and then we're going to have to kill it because we're just going to keep going and going. Why, Gemma Victoria, why a relapse or a blip feels like a huge deal if you've been symptom-free for so long, and how to deal with these better. Okay. Here's an easy one. Setbacks. No such thing. So you are judging, Gemma, you're judging your success in the fact that you have been symptom-free. That's the answer. So like you truly need to be in a mindset where you are not in any way bothered or worried about those symptoms. So if they come back, who the fuck cares, in plain English? Like that is where you need to be. So that tells me that in a lot of cases, people who say that, like, I've had anxiety before, but I got over it and now it's back and I don't know what to do. Well, you got over it by running around it to a certain extent. So usually that means that the way you got to symptom free wasn't really that, in a way, like you still have some work to do. So how to deal with them better, Gemma, when the symptoms come back, it's not a setback. This is an opportunity to deal with them maybe more effectively than you did. Which is to learn to just let them be there, put your focus back on your breath, float through them, let them come and do the worst thing they know how to do. We've been through this over and over. Do it that way this time.
Mm-hmm.
Billy's running out of gas. And your daughter's trapped upstairs.
I have had so many. I have had moments recording where I have uneasy, like dizzy, or just like
really
out of it. Yeah.
Today,
but could anybody tell?
I would have no idea. I'm talking to you and I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, no clue.
Fuck it.
All right. Fuck it. Keep going, man. 2 more. Oh, and another one just came in. This is crazy. All right, we got to end it. We'll take Rebecca, Wendy, and Holly just chimed in too. You really want to overcome agoraphobia. It has been around a long time. It would be necessary to break down exposure into small steps and keep at it every day. Many times, total commitment is necessary. Yes, you are correct, Rebecca. But what if you are depressed also? This is difficult. It would be really hard going if your life just revolved around exposure only and you may not want to get up in the morning. Yeah, that's a real thing. So Rebecca, I'm sorry if you're feeling that way. That's tough. So yes, many times every day, over and over and over, the fastest path out of the hole is just total commitment. You make it your full-time job. Okay. But when
you're just rushing through these now, come on.
But when you get depressed, it's hard. You lose your motivation. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the tip that I would have, you may not want to get up in the morning. Always get up in the morning. Number one, when you open your eyes, put your feet on the floor, get up, brush your teeth, wash your face, comb your hair, do something to be human, like make tea, try to read a book, put on some music, something. Like, you cannot let it snowball to the point where you lose your motivation. He's just buzzing you now, just like mocking you. So yeah, it could be a challenge, but I think the more that you throw yourself into that task, I'm gonna keep working on my exposure. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep getting out. I'm gonna challenge it. Like, the beginning of depression is something that needs to be challenged. Because if you just say, I don't feel good, I'm just gonna lay in bed today. I'm just gonna lay in the sofa and feel bad. That stuff can snowball. So Rebecca, my friend, what I'm going to suggest that you do is, even though you feel like not doing things, you still have to do it anyway. Pretend if you have to.
Yeah. Because that's the only way that you're going to get the victories that are going to hopefully lift you out of it.
Yeah, and like, even if the victories have to be super small, like you and I talked about, like, just get up and do the laundry or something, something, instead of just sitting around. Move, do something. Like, you just keep taking those. Just do that as much as you can. It doesn't matter what it is. So I think, it can be difficult. It'd be difficult to maintain motivation when you feel that way, but you just gotta do it. You just have to do your best to keep doing little things as much as possible, even if it's just things around the house. Clean the house, organize the bookshelf you've been meaning to organize, make a video you've been meaning to make, sing a song, something. It doesn't matter. Anything. You're not going to sing, are you?
I was thinking about it. No. Not today.
All right, Wendy. I know. I feel like now I'm just trying to brush through them. I don't mean to do that.
It's
Wendy asked about CBT, how CBT therapy can help.
Okay.
It's easy. CBT therapy will help because when done correctly, it will teach you how to not be afraid of anxiety. Right? You'll learn to not be afraid of what you think and how you feel, and you'll do that through cognitive exercises that you can do when you're not in panic mode, and through exposure that's designed to make you panic, so that you can learn that it's okay to panic and that you're still safe. That's how CBT therapy helps. CBT therapy helps by teaching you to feel what you're going to feel and think what you're going to think, but not be afraid of it.
I think we discussed this before. Like, a lot of it depends on who is actually delivering the CBT. Because I've had CBT 3 times and not really picked up much from it. So we, find somebody that actually deals with anxiety specifically.
Yes. And I know that Wendy lives like 12, 15 minutes from me.
That's right. So, yeah.
She's fellow Long Islander. But I know, and I hear it a lot from people in the UK, the NHS, CBT. They've given me CBT, but then what you hear they did is not really CBT.
So, well, I'm on the waiting list at the moment.
Yeah. So. But you'd be in a different place, right? You're going to a different place, you're saying?
Yeah, well, because I've moved, so I've gone from where I used to live to this place. But this is where I first had CBT, where I live now.
Yeah,
all them years ago.
That makes sense.
But I know the place that used to do the CBT, I drove past it the other week. It's all boarded up and shut down and that. So
that's not a good sign.
Funding's going well over here.
Hey, you know what? Here in the U.S., like, you have to work to find somebody who specializes in anxiety disorders, behavioral therapy. So it would be the same in the U.K., I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Not every counselor is trained in that. So they're doing the best they can. But Wendy, that's how CBT helps.
I will share my CBT journey.
The experience. One of the best examples of how CBT works and what it does was Danny in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
She posted a video a while back. If you search for Danny, DANI, her account, she posts a lot, but she posted a video maybe a month or so ago.
I think
she actually remember she flipped through her workbooks and she narrated, like, I did this, I had to learn to do this. She really took people through, like, this is what I did, and she literally was given CBT in a textbook form, and it was hugely successful for her. So Wendy, that's what it can do. You have to find the right therapist. And I will add, because I think Wendy is the person who asked about this, like, she found a therapist who she felt might be a little too pushy. Fuck that.
Right.
You want your CBT therapist should be pushy. They are there, like if you wanted to learn to, run 100-meter sprint in the Olympics, your coach would push you hard and kick your ass to make you a better sprinter. Well, that is what your therapist should do. Your therapist is there to push you, not to be gentle and kind and like all of those things. She's there to teach you how to intentionally be uncomfortable. So and I think what some people fall down with also, and I think Wendy would be okay with me saying this, she was concerned because, like, she wanted to do the old, like, well, let me settle down after the holidays and, like, take it, and then I'll start. And the therapist was like, oh, no, you start now.
Yeah.
And some people get put off by that.
I said it, like, the first time it might have been the second time I ever had CBT. We did, like, an exposure thing. I went out with a therapist, walked into town and that. And then the next week, I didn't bother going because it was too hard. Like, that's the difference between me now and then. Like, now would be like, I know that was the most valuable experience that a therapist has ever given me. But it was just like,
you weren't ready for it. That's exactly right. And so many people run into that when they run into CBT and they're like, okay, make me feel better. And, like, it's not there to make you feel better. It's in a way. It's like,
I've got to do something.
Right. So it's either
sign up for this.
Usually the problem with CBT is the expectation is wrong. Like, you're going to make my anxiety go away, which isn't the way that works. First, they make you not afraid of it, and then it goes away. And not understanding, like, oh, this is actually, I have to do hard things, and I have to start doing them right now. So I can't do things like, well, let me just wait until the holidays are over and the kids are back to school and everything's a little more calm. Like, no. Like, avoidance, no avoidance. So, that's what CBT.
You're not just going to tell me how to stop it. What?
Right. Like, you teach me how to breathe so that when I won't ever have a panic attack again. Like, that's not what it does. Not what it does. So you have work to do, my friend. Like, get at it. And in a couple of months, you'll be way ahead of the game if you're doing it. Trust me on this.
Yeah.
And the last one, Holly, intrusive thoughts. That's going to have to be the last one. Intrusive thoughts. No, that's it. I think we hit them all. So, how do you deal with intrusive thoughts? We've talked about that one too a lot. Like, you deal with it by learning. Meditation is a good skill. Susan does the meditation and the mindfulness stuff. Like, watch her videos, see what she's talking about. Thinking is a behavior too, right? Like anything else. So cognition is a behavior. So you have to learn to put your brain in neutral. And when you have that thought, way back when I was taught, like, a thought is just a thought. It's not reality. And I can choose to have another thought. That's the basis of dealing with intrusive thoughts. Like, oh, I just had this thought that I might have, some horrible disease or that this bad thing might happen if I leave my house. I'm going to think about something else. Yep. All right. Have that thought, let it float out the other side of my head and put my focus somewhere else. That's how you do it.
Job done.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. It's very dry. I know it is what it is. Like, there's no magic to intrusive thoughts. You just have to learn to acknowledge them, don't engage with them, and put your focus somewhere else. Put your brain in neutral is better. But if you have to, replace the thought with a different thought. Think about anything. Think about, like, what you ate for dinner or whatever. Doesn't matter. So there you go. We've been at it a long time. My mouth is actually dry. How long have we been going? Probably an hour 20.
1 hour. It's over. Just over an hour 20. I feel like I've just been sitting here for the last, like, 40 minutes.
I feel like I did nothing but yammer.
You nailed it, mate. You nailed it.
So it's a lot of talking, dude. So there you go. I don't know. What else we got? I don't know if anybody's hanging in this far, you know.
Of course they are.
We have to do the time code thing. At an hour 10, we talk about CBT.
Vaping.
Yeah. Vaping. So I think we're good. Anybody have a comment or
question
about like
the only thing the only thing I had to add was the small victories thing that we already discussed, like, because I've been not really thinking about the smaller things that I've been doing this week, because I thought to myself, like, I haven't really done a lot this week, but when I actually sit and think about it, like, I've been out, had my haircut, went and got fuel a couple of times, went to my local shop, but because those things are becoming like the new norm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, they're still victories.
That's
still
huge.
Victories.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Like, those are becoming normal things now.
Mm-hmm.
Another couple of weeks of just doing that, those will just be normal things.
Yeah.
They probably are.
We went through the drive-through the other night, and it's just, like, I'm not even thinking about it. It's crazy.
Right, like that's not something.
Did I freeze?
You froze for a second, yeah. So there's a little lag. That's not something you would have considered doing, the drive-through.
Yeah, it's mad when I sit and think about it. Like, if I probably went back and watched the first one of these that we did, I'm probably talking differently about things in that. It's mad.
Oh, yeah, hugely different.
Yeah,
just like when we picked up back in like November or whatever it was, we started doing these again. Oh yeah, you're like very, very different. Like you're just relaxed. You're like positive. You're joking. You're like talking about all the victories. Oh, huge change, tremendous.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let me ask you a silly question. Even though we've been at it for so long, we'll go a little bit longer. And you can feel free to edit this out if you like. But so like usually your dad is with you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, which is great. I mean, it's awesome that you spend time with your dad. It's not a bad thing. So is that a thing, like you feel like if he wasn't with you, you wouldn't do those things?
It depends what it is.
Okay.
It depends what it is. Yeah. So like 9 times out of 10, I would rather have somebody with me at the moment.
It's that thing from earlier.
It's the safety thing.
Should you take your water or not?
Yeah.
It's certainly better to go through the drive-through with your dad than to not go through the drive-through.
Like, he doesn't come to the drive-through in that. Like, that was just me and the little one, me and Lula.
Yeah.
Like, it was
only
little,
you know.
No, I know. It's bigger than me. Bigger ego, anyway. If that's possible. But I went to the drive-through not long ago on my own. Like, I didn't make a video of it, didn't make a big song and dance about it, because it was just like, I'm just going to the drive-through.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
That's the first time I've ever done that, gone through the drive-through on my own. But it was just like,
whatever. Yeah,
that's it.
No big deal.
That's how you can gauge your progress, when you just notice that you start doing these other things, like the school run and that. I've done the first week back at the school run, and like, nothing.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just what you do now. That's great, because the only reason why I asked is you mentioned the drive-through, and I think you had the video, and you guys are just so funny. Did your dad spit something out of the window? Like, that was great.
Shit, yeah, because we went to the dog.
That was the drive-through, yeah. And I think
it was the Dogs Trust.
Oh, that's what that was. For some reason, I thought you were in a drive-through on the way home, and you guys were just cracking jokes, and it was just so funny.
It was the Dogs Trust. We just pulled out of the Dogs Trust car park, and he wanted to spit his gum out the window.
Made me laugh so hard. So great.
Hilarious.
Rabble rouser.
Yes. Anyway. But that's another thing. Like, last Sunday, I went to the friggin' Dogs Trust. Like, 45-minute journey. Got out of my car, had to walk around the Aston Martins that were parked up, and just madness.
No problem, right?
Stuff that I wouldn't have considered doing.
Yeah. How long did you spend in there? Because, I mean, you're actually just kind of hanging around. You're literally trying to be in there.
About 40 minutes, 40 minutes to an hour, probably.
Yeah.
Just walking up and down.
Pretty impressive.
Jobs are good.
No dog, though.
No. I wasn't going to say anything, but I can't get my old dog back either.
Oh.
So I messaged the person that has the dog.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, the dog's really settled in with her and the kids and their other dogs and that. So I'm not going to. Like, it's been 7 months, so.
Yeah, I'm sure she's happy there.
We'll leave it.
Yeah. But it's a good outing, though. The Dogs Trust.
We'll end on a sour note. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do, whether to go back to the Dogs Trust, maybe rescue one or get a pup or what. I don't know.
Yeah. Think about it.
I might get a virtual dog.
So much easier.
Exactly.
You get a virtual dog. Very good. All right. I think we have run our course.
Have we done it?
If anybody's made it through the whole thing, there should be some sort of prize. So thanks.
Yeah. Massive thumbs up to you. Well done.
Yeah.
Drop a comment. Yes. Drop a comment right now if you're still here.
Yeah, exactly. Drop a comment, and if you have any other topic suggestions, send them on out. And subscribe to whatever channel you're watching and hit the notification bell.
I haven't uploaded any of them to mine yet.
I think I did last week's. I'm so
slacking.
I am so lazy with this. So we'll see. All right. I think we're good, man. You're the one recording, so you got to stop it.
Oh, right. Okay.
You have to put down your vape pen long enough. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging in there.
Peace.
Peace out. See you on the next one.
We'll see you next week. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be more talkative.
You were fine.
See you later.
All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Drew here. In the 5 years that I've done the podcast, I've never had a sponsor. But now it's time for me to put in a little plug for the day job, the business that I own. And that business is Managed WordPress Hosting. So if you have a website and it runs WordPress, and you'd like WordPress hosting that makes WordPress faster, more secure, and way easier than you ever imagined it would be, then check out Helix. You can find us online at iamhelix.com. That's iamhelix.com. We took a long time to build Helix. I'm super proud of it. It works spectacularly. We take really good care of our customers, and I promise we would take really good care of you too. So if you're in the market for WordPress hosting that will blow your mind, check out Helix. I would appreciate the consideration. I thank you for coming by and listening, and I'll see you the next time.